Hello there, hi, it's Julie Rothwell here from artyheaven.com. I am coming on live because I'm hoping in a minute to invite Sara Wickenden on. Let me just press this. I'll see if I can tag her. Sarah is one of the guest tutors who is coming on our art retreat weeks. So all being well, we can invite Sarah across and technology doing as it should. Sarah should hop on in a couple of minutes and we can have a little chat to her by the powers of technology. Jump in a minute. So for those of you that don't know, as I say, my name is Julie. I'm an encaustic wax artist, and I have hello.
I'm here at last.
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
I'm well. How about you?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Great. We're getting the technology organised. So there's a little bit of an echo, but it's not too bad. So I'm just going to keep going. So yeah, I was just saying, for those that don't know, I'm an encaustic artist. I'm based in Hertfordshire, and I'm running some art retreat weeks. And I'm inviting two guest tutors in, one of whom is Sara Wickenden.
That's me.
That's you. So I apologise if I'm speaking slowly. There is a delay and it's coming back as an echo. But I'm going to keep going anyway. So Sarah, just to introduce you a little, you're an encaustic artist. You're based in the UK, and you've been working with encaustic for about 20 years, if I've got that correct. Is that right?
Since 2001, yes. So it's been a little while.
Yeah. So yeah, not too far short. Now that is a very rare thing in the UK. I don't know anybody. That's been working it with that length of time. So Sarah, can you just tell us a little bit? Does it not? It's flown. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what your background is?
Right, I originally trained as a teacher many years back in the 80s, and then became a zoologist. A fairly natural progression for a stage manager, I guess. After working at Nature for a while as a writer, I then went freelance, and while I was freelancing, in the early days of me freelancing, I discovered the painting with wax. And initially I started with the wax that you do within iron, the sort of nice sort of very easygoing, friendly sort of groups that I joined in Berkhamsted. And I decided, though it was fun, it wasn't quite satisfying my artistic desire. I had been painting and drawing for quite a while. I'd done illustrations when I was at Nature. I had some work exhibited. So I really felt I wanted to get into the sort of slightly more long-term kind of encaustic, as it were. And basically looked around and discovered a lady in Norfolk at the time who was teaching the RNF workshops. So I went for the basic workshop, and then I went for the intermediate workshop in fairly quick succession. And by that time, that was in 2005, I had my own studio set up and was painting in the slightly more traditional encaustic way. So
yeah, with the wax
it's been
and the
an
Daymar.
interesting adventure since then.
Yeah,
with the wax and the Daymar. Yeah.
So as I understand, because you sun bleach your own wax now, don't you?
Yes, I find that I get my wax from a couple of different suppliers, but I find that the sun-bleached wax, or the wax they say is sun-bleached, is usually still fairly yellowish. And that can be lovely for some mediums, but in other cases, it doesn't quite sort of allow a delicacy of colour to come through. So I basically use my windowsills and bleach my own wax pellets.
Yeah,
which is it takes some time.
Because that's one of the things we're going to.
You can do it very quickly elsewhere, but here it's in England with the rain and the clouds.
Very slow process.
Very slow process.
It is. You've got to be very patient.
No, absolutely. Because I know that's one of the things we're going to touch when you come in to on this to the guest tutor day, isn't it? We're going to kind of go through the different ways and
bleach. Go through the different ways and bleaching wax.
Yeah. I'll bring in some details of suppliers that are very good, depending on what you actually want. And I've come across some that actually work with waxes, suppliers that do not bees, but basically a beeswax substitute for people who might want to try something a bit different.
Yeah, fab. Yeah, because that's a question I've been asked quite a bit recently, actually, alternatives to beeswax. So that'll be an interesting one to cover for sure. Yeah, good. Hello, Catherine. So I see some people are jumping on and joining us now, which is fab. So good. So so that's kind of one of the things. I know different types of beeswaxes, and the other thing as well, because not all beeswaxes are the same, and I think that's something that people don't always understand. Because I've noticed some of my waxes where I've used different grades, they've actually kind of discoloured over a period of time as well, and that's just something that I've observed within my own practice since I've started using it. So,
that's very often.
Yeah.
That's very often if they've used chemicals to basically cover up the yellow.
That's right.
Essentially, some of the chemical treatment of bleach can give you a sort of temporary white fix, and then it slowly sort of disintegrates, particularly under light.
Exactly, yeah. But I discovered that not all, and then over time I've obviously learned a lot more. But I've discovered that not all beeswaxes are the same. So so that's definitely something we'll be covering there as well, which is good. So kind of moving on from there, you had a really interesting interaction at the National Maritime Museum, didn't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Got in touch with me a few years ago because they purchased 2 paintings of George Stubbs, the dingo and the kangaroo. And they discovered, because they'd originally thought it was oil paintings, they discovered it was actually wax on it. So they were scratching their heads and decided to get in touch with me and asked me if I could give them some information on painting with wax. They had a young lady who was actually trying to did succeed in doing a copy of the dingo very beautifully, but it was a case of trying to work out what Stubbs might have done. He was very adventurous and would try lots of different things, some of which safety really wouldn't approve of today in my studio, but asked me to do some workshops for visitors to museums. And at this stage they thought that the done his painting, but as we later discovered, he actually pretty much did a proper encaustic painting. As he allowed this sort of he would fuse the colours, the layers of colours, by placing the painting essentially in front of a fire on a flat table, and get it up as hot as he could, which you can imagine how that would be quite interesting with some of the oil paints that he would have been using at the time. So
Yes,
I had to
absolutely.
devise something for people on the course to be able to do that they could do without any knowledge of encaustic before, even if they could be an artist themselves, or some of them had sort of been doing a GCSE, but had really touched art since then. So it had to be a fairly basic kind of course, but it was fun, and I experimented a bit to try and get a kind of safe way of doing it. They didn't really want me to light up the museum with
and that's what we're going to cover.
Flame torches.
No, I can imagine. And that's what we're going to be covering when you come into our into the on the guest tutor day in morning or afternoon. I forget how we're planning it now. But yes, so you're going to be covering that.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to go through that because it can be paper.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, it sounds very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to it. So there are just so many. I met Sarah a few, well, probably 2-3 months ago now, I think it was, and got chatting, and we. Sorry, losing my train of thought. I just had a message come through. I'm just checking. We kind of got chatting, and once we kind of, I think one of the beauties of getting together with people who work in Encaustic is you've got so many similarities, and it's just such a rarity to be able to actually spend time with somebody and to actually speak with people that know what you're talking about. So I know when I met you, Sarah, it was fantastic to actually be able to kind of converse and like, oh my goodness, they've done it. And then when I kind of did some research on, even the George Stubbs paintings that you've mentioned, there's a really good YouTube clip I've referenced on my website. And when you actually see that and you kind of see the historical aspect of it, and they were using wax, and it's like, wow, so it's fascinating kind of to actually just spend that time talking with you and kind of covering that. And that's really why I'm kind of pulling these weeks together. So can you hear me okay? I don't know if this delay is still...
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Oh, great. I think we had a bit of a glitch there in the middle for a couple of minutes. Yeah, no, it's fine again now. There was just a moment or two. It's when the message came through. So we're going to kind of cover a number of techniques, and then in the afternoon there's some more with some monotypes, and I understand you've also got a technique using a freezer, which is completely new on me. I'm really interested in how that's going to work without giving too much away right now. But yes, I've got my freezer ready. So
there's a lot of interesting techniques. You basically have to play around and discover with Encaustic, because there's nowhere near the amount of information out there that you get on watercolor or on acrylic or oils. So you do have to be a bit of an experimenter and be willing to say, right, let's try this.
Yes.
Fortunately, I like experimenting.
Good. Well, the great thing is you've got that, that long history of working with Encaustic. As I say, that's such a rare thing in the UK to actually be able to tap into anybody that has that wealth of knowledge, really. So I know when I spoke with you, I was absolutely fascinated by some of the insights that I came away with, which is fabulous. So in kind of summary, to kind of summarise all of that up, if anybody wants to kind of find out more about you and your work, where's sort of the best place for them to head to?
Possibly Instagram. I can be found on Sara_W_artist.
Cool. I'll put the links in below as well.
And I do have a website, but I haven't updated it for a few years. But that is www.sarawickenden.co.uk, and hopefully it should be updated in the next week or so.
Website, I don't know about you, I much prefer doing the art to the website. It's always the technical aspect that trails along behind afterwards. So I get the content done and the website comes later. Yeah, definitely. So we'll make sure all these links are added into this live underneath. If anybody's got any questions in the meantime, feel free to pop a question in the chat just before we finish up. So if you want to find out more about these art retreat weeks, so we're running There is one for complete beginners with myself, and then there's one for artists that already work with Encaustic, and those are the ones where Sarah comes in, and another guest tutor, Samantha Packer, as well. So do go and check those out. You want to go to www.artyheaven.com. And then look for VIP Art Retreat Weeks, and all of that information is there. And in fact, I'm pretty sure there's a link to your website there, Sarah. You're under day 2, guest tutor day 2 there. So, but any questions at all, feel free to drop me a line, or say you'll find us Instagram, on Facebook. Send me an email, anything at all. That will be fab. So, as I say, I can see a few people are still watching, which is good. So. Hopefully we're all making sense here. And as I say, even after after the thing, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to just pop comments in below. We'll come back a bit later on and see if there's anything else that's come in. But cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sarah. I really appreciate you jumping on. I know we've finally ironed out a few of the technical things that we were struggling with earlier, so we got there in the end, so which is fab. My end as well. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's what it's all about there. It's all a learning curve, and I've had a really busy day as well today, so and lots of things going on, so we are coordinating times and tech and everything together, but we'll get there. It all comes through. So anyway, thank you so very much, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Okay then. See you on Tuesday.
Yes, fantastic.
Okay.
Lovely. All right. Take care then. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.